Is it too soon to say new season, same old Spurs?
Well, on that performance, no, because it's the same thing. It's possession, but then look at the shots. It's possession, but where are you going with it? What are you doing with it? Yeah. The matches are won in the final third and the defensive third, and Spurs were second best in both. And that's what would worry me. It's nice buying some shiny new toys and doing some things, but where's that grit in the final third, and where's that decisiveness in the attacking third? Defensive third, we're just going to pass the ball around you and put it in the net, and then in the attacking third, we're just going to step on it and play it backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the start that would have been expected when you've seen the players that they brought in this summer so far, Stevie.
Do you know, you'd have to be worried if you're a player, coach, owner, fan of Spurs. You've got to be worried about what you saw today, because they got bullied from the first minute to the last minute. And sometimes in a game like this, you can put it down to, well, just one of those days. But you look at the makeup of the Spurs team and the Spurs squad, and they don't actually have the physicality to stand up to anybody who's going to bully them. I mean, they just don't have it. Even the two, most teams, the two hardest guys are the two biggest, strongest animals that you rely on are your two centre-backs. And Van Hekke and Senesi today, they got bullied as well. So where's the strength coming from? So, listen, when they go and play against your Man Cities and your Liverpools and your Arsenals, it's going to be a game of football. But if I'm anybody else halfway up the table that just wants to stay in the league, all you got to do is get in the face and outmuscle them and fight them and bully them, because today they got trodden on.
Yeah, it was not a best start for Spurs today, and there'll be a lot of talk about it as well, because, Rob, after those back-to-back 17th place finishes, people are saying it's no way going to be that this season. But does that switch expectations a little bit?
I think it's a reality check. You know, Kasey at the top of just said there that we're going to talk about a lot of the same things we spoke about with Man United, and that's exactly right. You know, there was a lot of pre-season optimism at Spurs. They've got a manager that they like in Roberto De Zerbi, who managed to save them from relegation last season. They've spent an awful lot of money in the transfer window. There was hope at Spurs that they would be able to kick on this season, that there's no European football. It means that they can focus on the Premier League. I've heard Spurs fans talk about the possibility of even making that jump to get back into the Champions League places this season, because they've invested so much in the squad, and today the performance just suggests that there are far more of the problems from last season that just haven't been addressed. And there was an interview after the game from Archie Gray, and he suggested that Spurs had been outfought today. Now, that to me is a massive worry. I think it's unforgivable for a football team to be outfought by anyone, but particularly on the opening day of the season, when you can feel that kind of pre-season optimism and the whole season's ahead of you, and you don't really know what's going to happen. To admit that you've been outfought on the opening day of the season, I think would set alarm bells off for Roberto De Zerbi, because how is that possible on the opening day? If you're going to fight and match a team ever, presumably that's on the opening day when you're full of energy and full of optimism. And if it wasn't there today, when is it going to come back, and how are they going to rediscover it?
But to Stevie's point and Rob's point, who are the fighters? There's a point when sometimes you got to buy a couple fighters to be able to fight. It looks like they have a bunch of ball players who are then like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to fight with these guys. We're so good, we can play around them. Well, you had fighters in your Champions League winning sides. I played with plenty of fighters on the teams that I played with, but at some stage you got to actually be able to just roll your sleeves up and fight. But if you don't have anybody on your side who can fight, good luck.
Let's talk a little bit about the two names that have come up. Obviously, we know Savinho coming in at Spurs.
That's
and Omar
a fighter.
Mahmoud.
There's a fighter for you.
That'll help. That would have helped today.
That's going to roll his sleeves up and get some tackles in for you.
That, so much has been made, Rob, of this 150 million, if it's to come to that, with these two players. Did we see today that more players actually are needed here at Spurs?
I mean, I think more players are needed because recruitment is important, but I want to echo the thoughts of the two guys in the studio. It doesn't matter if you recruit well or badly. If you put 11 players out on the pitch who aren't willing to fight, then it doesn't matter who's out there. You can go and spend as much money as you want. If the spirit isn't there, then it doesn't matter. Now, Roberto De Zerbi has made a point that he wants reinforcements in attacking areas. The deal with City for Savinho is agreed, and that will go through. City are also expecting the Marmoush deal to go through at some stage, although it's not as advanced as the Savinho one. But to go back to the original point, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter who's out on the pitch if the collective spirit isn't there. Now, it's obviously very early in the season. Spurs, I'm sure, will get better. I think I've counted 4 new signings in that starting 11. It is going to take time for those new signings to gel. And you would expect that to happen with more time on the training pitch with Roberto De Zerbi. But I imagine he's sat at home now thinking, well, it doesn't actually matter what happens on the training pitch. It matters. The only thing that matters is developing that fighting spirit, that desire to want and go and win football matches. Because if that's not there, then it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. If that's not there, you may as well not turn up.
Yeah, so big upsets for both Manchester United and Spurs today, and a lot to look ahead to in that Premier League season. Thanks so much for joining us, Rob, to talk more about everything that we did see today. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel where you can stay up to date with extra time on the latest edition. Kasey and Stevie are answering your questions. We must get back out to Spain now, because the boys have got a trip on their hand. It is boys on tour. They are in Barcelona right now, but they are heading down to Alicante because tomorrow it's Elche against Barcelona. So, Dan, we need to know more about that game.
Yes, indeed, Kay. Early start tomorrow. We'll be on a plane.
Is that how planes go?
That's my plane impression.
I hope our plane is better than that.
Do you know what? I hope your plane is like that, because I'm not joining you. I'll be heading to Madrid for the Atletico game.
Of course, you'll go to the Atleti game.
I'll be on a train and not on a...
well, me and Ali will be side by side as Barcelona kick off the defence of their title. Rodri won't play. We know that he hasn't trained. He'll train on Monday. The big talking point, inevitably, with Barcelona going into the season, who's going to score the goals, Ali? Because Ferran Torres has gone, and so is Lewandowski.
Well, let's assume that nobody walks through that door, right? And we're also assuming, and I think it's a safe bet, that Julian Alvarez is not coming. And so, assuming that nobody's walking through that door anytime soon for Barcelona, then how do they go about staying competitive and remaining the favorites to win La Liga and to retain their title? You're going to have the very best of Lamine Yamal. You're going to need the very best of Rafinha, but more importantly, you're going to need Rafinha to be on the field, to be fit and ready to go. Suffered a lot of injuries last season, a lot of soft tissue injuries. That went on to the World Cup, happened with the Brazil as well. So he's going to have to be on the field as well. And then the rest are just going to have to fill in the gaps. And the rest it's a combo package of all sorts of players that could potentially score goals. We don't know exactly who that player is going to be, but it's Anthony Gordon, it's Hansa Abdelkarim, it's Karim Adeyemi, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, a bunch of guys who are capable every so often of scoring goals, and if indeed they take turns to do so, and they do so by committee, then maybe Barcelona are able to fill in that gap.